We had this slide in a couple of our other presentations, but I think it's so important to show, and it's also a really big part of financial planning. It's often what people think primarily of financial planning is specifically saving for retirement. The industry recommends saving between 10 and 15% of your income annually. The good thing is that includes anything you put in and anything your employer puts in. We always recommend putting in as much as you can to get your full employer match. So for example, if your employer matches dollar for dollar up to 5%, be sure you're putting in 5% of your own money to get that full match. Otherwise, you're leaving essentially free money on the table. So that's probably the biggest mistake, I guess, we see from people is not maxing out their employer match and not taking advantage of those free funds. I won't go through a lot of this since we covered it in another webinar, but it just shows that people are not saving enough for retirement, and financial planning can really help you align your goals, your wants, your wishes to how much you should be saving. So if you're someone who wants to take a lot of vacations in retirement, maybe you want to buy a second home, maybe you want to leave gifts to a certain charity or have a fund for your kids or grandkids, you're going to have to save quite a bit more than this 10 to 15%. If you're someone who's pretty good on a budget, you don't really have many big wants or wishes, you don't want to travel, you don't want to buy new vehicles every couple of years, you could probably get away with saving a little bit less. And that's where a financial plan really comes into play, because we can take your specific situation and say, these are your goals for retirement. So this is specifically how much you should be saving to meet those goals. The other common question we get from people is, how long am I going to be living? Should I be planning for age 75, 80, 85? What does that look like? This chart shows the probability of living to certain ages for men, women, and a couple. When we do financial planning at TrustPoint and Emerge 360, we use men living till age 92 and women living until age 94. This is because we don't want your money to run out sooner than expected. So oftentimes clients say, I'm not going to live past 80, so I'm only going to plan till 80. That's not a very realistic expectation. So we want to make sure your money lasts well into retirement. And this kind of comes into play with your investment allocation. So when you retire, you still have to have your funds growing for the next 10, 20, 30 years. So you shouldn't just move all of your money into cash, because you still need it to grow for the next 30 years. This chart is an example of if what your income is, what your age is, how much you should save for retirement. If you have a TrustPoint 401k, there's a really cool tool when you log into your website that's kind of a calculator specific to your situation. You can play with that. You can also Google retirement calculator. There's tons out there that can show you how much you should be saving, but a financial plan will really get you down to a specific number and be more accurate specifically for your situation. And we can project how long you're going to be living, what your goals are, what your spending is, because spending is different for all of our clients. We can get a little bit more specific, but for a starting place, you can just Google retirement calculator, see if you're on track. And then if you want more specifics on your situation, a financial plan is going to be the better route. Another question we get from people is traditional versus Roth. What's the better option? Again, financial planning, we can take a look at this and say specifically for you, given your tax bracket, given your goals for money, for leaving money to people, or if you want to spend all of your money, we can give specific recommendations. But the primary difference between the two is that with Roth, you pay the tax now, it grows tax-free distribution, qualified distribution when you retire. If you save traditional or pre-tax dollars, you're not paying the tax now. and you pay tax later on when you take a distribution. So as part of planning, we'll take a look at your tax bracket and see what makes the most sense given your goals and what you hope to accomplish. There are different rules for IRAs versus 401ks, and we could cover those as well. A couple things I wanted to point out, since we're talking specifically about retirement planning and financial planning, is there are a couple different tools out there. The first one is backdoor Roth contributions. So there is a limit to people who can contribute to a Roth IRA. There's an income limit. If you're over that limit, you're not able to contribute directly to a Roth IRA. However, there is something called a backdoor Roth contribution, where you contribute funds to a traditional IRA and then immediately convert them to a Roth IRA. So you're going to pay tax on those, and it's not going to be a non-deductible contribution, but it's kind of a back way around not being able to contribute to a Roth account because you make too much money. So if you're interested in that, we do provide that service with Emerge 360 and with TrustPoint, and we can help you navigate what that could look like for your situation. The other one I wanted to point out is Roth conversion. So you are able to convert traditional dollars into Roth dollars. You'll have to pay the tax on that, but that'll give you more options once you retire because you'll have traditional dollars and Roth dollars. So we do this a lot for clients who have retired and maybe they have not yet taken Social Security. So they're probably in a lower tax bracket than they were when they were working. We'll do Roth conversions, move some of that traditional money into Roth accounts. You're going to pay income tax on it, but it'll then continue to grow tax-free. Another time we do this for clients is if maybe one spouse is retired and one is still working, so their income is lower than what it had been before. It's a really great time to do a Roth conversion. It's also a good time when markets are down. This is because balances are lower, so you have less to move over to Roth. You'll pay less in tax. So now is a really good time to be thinking about Roth conversions as well. So there are different pros and cons to this, and this is something we can talk about in a financial plan. But again, anything you convert from traditional dollars to Roth dollars, you're going to have to pay tax on. If you're someone who wants to leave funds to beneficiaries and not have them have to pay income tax on that, this is a really good option. And then you're also going to want to continue saving Roth dollars because any Roth dollars you leave to beneficiaries, they're not going to have to pay tax on them because you already did.